So, and then the last little vignette we want to talk about in this context is a little bit about DeFi.
Yeah, so the stablecoin kind of flows nicely into DeFi here. As stablecoins have become a key piece of the DeFi ecosystem. And the one point too that Michael touched on was that NYDFS framework. And that's something that we're still looking for in DeFi is some sort of reporting framework and key metrics that individuals and companies should be looking at as they think about their DeFi activity. But to just give a high-level overview here of DeFi and thinking through what it really means, I think a lot of us are familiar, but it's really removing those intermediaries where you're able to transact peer-to-peer in a decentralized financial ecosystem. And so thinking through some of that DeFi reporting, there are obviously a lot of block explorers and websites that you can access that have some metrics out there. Some of them we've listed here. Total value locked is a key one that a lot of people like to look at. And there are a lot of these metrics that people use, but there aren't common definitions for a lot of these metrics. So different protocols might be evaluating TVL or maybe their active wallets in different ways. And so we don't have that clear, transparent insight into those metrics. But the opportunity here is ripe for it because everything is transparent in blockchain. Everything is transparent in DeFi. You can see where all the crypto is going. So there is a lot of opportunity as we think about continuous assurance, but we do need to put some kind of framework around a lot of these metrics, as well as those definitions to make sure that we're all talking the same language here. We did want to touch on MakerDAO a little bit as an example of one. So we pulled up some images and reporting metrics that they've used in their sort of financial results. It's not necessarily a financial statement, but the results that they put out. And so a little bit of background here on Maker. You may be familiar with them. They're a borrowing and lending decentralized finance protocol. They use their own stablecoin called DAI as kind of the underpinning of their protocol. They are one of the largest, fluctuating by time, but based on this metric here, the largest based on TVL or total value locked as a DeFi protocol. Thinking through some of their revenue drivers, they have lending, so they can lend out, you can trade, and then if someone is borrowing against them, there are obviously liquidation penalties that might be associated with that. So these are some of their revenue or operational revenue streams. Then here are some really interesting graphs that they have within their financial results. And so some of these talk about interest revenue over time and then DAI utilization. So if you're a DeFi user or you're a user of MakerDAO, these are really interesting and fascinating to see, but we want to make sure that there is kind of an understanding of how these are being calculated, how consumers are understanding these, and making sure that they're using them in the right venue. And if there's someone else that is also providing services similar to MakerDAO, are they reporting similar metrics so that I can easily compare the two? And if they are reporting the same metrics, are they being calculated the same way? So there's a lot of things to think through as we kind of want to understand this DeFi framework and what might play into that. Here's another couple other graphics here that they've included in their financial results. One looking at ETH and kind of wrapped Bitcoin value locked, so you can see kind of trends up and down. And then lastly, leverage and capitalization ratios here. So same kind of thinking. All these metrics are fantastic to see, but how are they being calculated? Is Aave or Compound calculating them the same way? If so, how can we compare these and kind of think about this in a better manner?
Yeah, so just thinking about when you look at a variety of DeFi protocols, whether it's lending, whether it's DEXs, there'll be indicators of reputation in the form of total value locked. There'll be indicators of return, historical APYs. Are they even comparable? Is there a set standard for how one would? It's all, to Kevin's point, right? It's all on the blockchain. It's all public. It's just a matter of pulling the data and using it in a particular way. Are they all doing it the same, right? Because when you even look at some of these data, like DeFi data aggregators, they're kind of all over the place in terms of how they rank total value lock. So to the extent that they've come up with their own formulas, and you compare it with the protocol's own self-reported metrics, they don't always match.
Yeah. Yep, exactly. And you'd think they would, because everything's public, everything's on chain, and you'll still find some discrepancies there, which is interesting to see.